Did I just read a rapist's diary? Sejanus, Coriolanus? Susan Collins, you need to start thinking your characters' names twice. Hello, did you miss me? So, it's happened again. A saga that everybody has forgotten is getting a prequel 5 years later, 10 years later, and today we are talking about Game of Thrones. And today we're talking about the Hunger Games prequel. Before starting this video, I want to know, what do you think of authors doing it? Of them going 5 years later, 10 years later, hey, I still have more story to tell. As you probably know, the Hunger Games is getting a prequel called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. That is an interesting title compared to the Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay, that used to be more original, and now this new prequel is kind of copying out of what is already in the market and what all of the YA novels are doing right now. So to refresh my memory, I wasn't going to read all of the books again, but I did binge the movies. And it is very curious, but I remember the books and the movies very well, and that usually doesn't happen, or maybe I don't have the opportunity to tell if I remember them because they don't get adaptations. And what I loved about these movies was that the message was not an individual one, it was a more society one. It was not like, love is the most important force in the universe. It was something that affected the world and that everyone believed in, and it was that hope can change the world. It is probably with these books that I started loving the trope of sister love, of very strong sister relationships. And every time that Katniss talked about Prim, I could feel it. And the most important thing that I remember was how son of a is Snow. He not only killed and tortured, he wanted to torture you mentally with your loved ones, killing them, torturing them, making their lives impossible. Some people weren't happy to know that the prequel was going to follow him, but I love to hate my antagonist. And I didn't know how to feel because normally the antagonist, we're following a protagonist that you're rooting for, but I want to root for the protagonist to kill the antagonist or whatever. And in here, the antagonist from the trilogy is now the protagonist. So it's like an anti-villain. The synopsis is that we follow Coriolanus Snow when he's 18 years, the Great War has been over for 10 years, and the Hunger Games have been going on for 10 years. Somehow Coriolanus made me feel that he was younger than 18. The Hunger Games are in a very early stage and people are having trouble to get other people to watch them, and they are very poor and they have very little resources. The Snow family was one of the richest one before the Great War, I believe they called them the Dark Days. And we see how nowadays in this prequel they are struggling, they're eating the same thing every day, they're struggling to get new clothes and to keep their apartment. And since they are very vain and very proud, they are also struggling for people not to find out that they are now living in misery. This is the first time that mentors are used in the games, and in the trilogy we see how the mentors are victors from previous Hunger Games. And in here the mentors are seniors from the academy. This is where Snow is studying. And Coriolanus is very confident that he's going to get a good tribute. And when it's almost over and his name is not called, he believes that they just forgot about him. But then he gets the worst of the worst. He gets the girl from the District 12, and this is Lucy Gray. He is shocked and embarrassed to death, but he doesn't want to make a scene out of it because he doesn't want people to notice the kind of tribute that he got, so he plays it low-key. And he is very eager to win the Hunger Games because the winner is going to get, I believe it is a scholarship at the university and maybe a lot of money, or maybe both. Snow is a master of calculus and control, and it was very interesting to see how his mind worked. And he has a very strong survival instinct, and he is willing to do unthinkable things to get what he wants. And without a doubt, these qualities are what got him into the presidency. Some curious facts that caught my attention, I wouldn't call spoilers, but for example, Reaping Day, this is when the tributes are picked out of the districts. It is on July 4th, and I was like, whoa. And the second thing that I picked up is that Tigris is Jon Snow's cousin. She is his cousin and she's 2 years older. And in this prequel, Coriolanus is 18, and this is 64 years before the original trilogy, so Coriolanus is 82 in the original trilogy. So Tigris, the cousin, should be 84. And do you think that she looks 84 in the movies? And I can almost bet my life that we're going to get a sequel to this prequel, because this felt like there's so much more story to tell. Talking about characters, I could not care less what happened to Snow. I knew that he was going to be okay in the end because of the trilogy, but also I couldn't root for him, I couldn't root for his goals. I don't know if it was because I knew that he was going to end up leaving, or because I cannot empathize with wanting money and power so much. Another thing that I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you if he starts good or if he starts bad. I'm not going to tell if he ends up good or bad, or if I hated or if I loved him, because I think that's a spoiler and I think that's what people are most curious about. He did have some thoughts that were pretty sick and I was like, whoa. For example, when he was introducing his cousin, he thought, I'm gonna read it. She had a vulnerability that invited abuse. What the fuck? Did I just read a rapist's diary? My MVP was Lucy Gray. This is the District 12 tribute, and I'm also thinking that this was a very popular character with all of the people that read this book. And I also loved Sejanus. Wait a minute. Sejanus? Coriolanus? Susan Collins, you need to start thinking your characters' names twice. And also, if you think that you hated Harry Potter's teachers, wait until you meet these teachers. The first 2/3 of the book were a little on the slow side. I was almost bored once or twice. Even in the middle of an action scene, I could switch over to Facebook or whatever and just start checking my social media. It wasn't a big deal for me. Especially in the first third of the book, or the first part, there is a dynamic that is very repetitive. More repetitive than your best friend breaking up and making up with her boyfriend. When I got to the third part, I was leaving, and I cannot tell you that, but it is a trope that I love and I just wanted more of it. In regards to the world, it was very interesting to see how people from the capital thought. They really believed that they were superior from people from the districts. They almost believed that they were a different species, and they thought that they were a little better than animals, and that they really had the right to kill them, torture them, and put them in the Hunger Games. And I was just like, wow. And it was very interesting to catch some Easter eggs here and there. Like, for example, some of the songs from the original trilogy, you see the origin of those songs here. You see how Jon Snow's role impacted the Hunger Games that we know. And also you see how the mugs were made. And the crazy doctor impacted the Hunger Games as we know them. Talking about prose, the original trilogy is first person present, and this one is third person past. I don't know why they changed it, but it's okay with me. And it has a very easy flow with prose, and that's something that Susan Collins has always had. Now, in my personal opinion, Collins has a very raw, hard-hitting way of writing, especially with death and violence. Every death has a distinctive detail that will make you remember it, and not only for the gore. She's not afraid to kill her characters as if they were flies, and I'm telling you, you will remember a lot of these deaths. She also loves to make it clear that people in this world are very gruesome, and they are not afraid to show it. Some of the solutions were very convenient to the point of not being real enough. For example, someone with no power will do something horrible and get away with it, and you will be like, what? Or someone with a lot of power will do nothing and get punished. And that's just not how the world works, or even this world. So, final thoughts. Did I like this book? Yeah, I liked it, I enjoyed it. Did my opinion about President Snow change? No, not in the slightest. Does this book have a point? If it does, it passed over my head. Does it have something meaningful to offer? Not really. Do I regret reading it? Not at all. If there is a sequel to the prequel, would I read it? Yes, but I wouldn't waste my money on it. I will just wait for that library to lend it to me. And the most important one, and the one why you are here. Do you have to read this book? No. It certainly helps if you are a Hunger Games fan. But I honestly think that this is a good book. It is not boring, but it really does help if you're a Hunger Games fan. And yeah, I really enjoyed being back in this world, in the capital and some other places, so there you have it. So that's all for today, the secret phrase for today, so that I know that you stayed up until this point and make me happy is let it snow. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you next week with a new video. Bye!